Ladies and gentlemen, imagine a woman, strong, independent, but isolated. She moves through life, carrying the weight of her own thoughts, believing that she must do everything herself. The absence of friends in her life is not a reflection of her worth, but an unconscious result of patterns she's built over time. The mind has an incredible power to shape our reality, our relationships, our sense of belonging, and how we see ourselves. The story of a woman with no friends isn't just about the lack of connection. It's about a deep inner transformation, a journey from isolation to a life rich in authentic relationships. Our beliefs are not simply abstract ideas, they are powerful forces that shape our reality. Every day, we are living out the consequences of the beliefs we hold about ourselves, others, and the world. These beliefs serve as lenses through which we view the world, and they influence how we interact with those around us. For the woman who has no friends, the belief she holds about relationships, trust, and herself plays a pivotal role in her current state of isolation. At the core of her experience is likely a belief about relationships that originated from past experiences. Perhaps in her earlier years, she faced betrayal, hurt, or disappointment from people she trusted. These experiences, though painful, planted seeds of doubt and suspicion in her subconscious mind. Over time, these seeds grew into a belief that people cannot be trusted or that relationships are inherently fragile. In her mind, the safest option is to rely on herself, to guard her heart, and to avoid emotional investment. She may have even convinced herself that friendships are too complicated, too risky, or that others will always let her down. The subconscious mind is incredibly powerful. It doesn't differentiate between what is real and what is imagined. If she consistently believes that people are unreliable, her mind will look for evidence to support this belief. Every interaction, no matter how small, becomes a confirmation of her view that people are untrustworthy. For example, if someone makes a mistake, she might interpret it as a sign that this person isn't reliable, reinforcing the belief that others will ultimately disappoint her. Her mind doesn't question the validity of this interpretation, it simply accepts it as true because it aligns with her pre-existing belief system. But beliefs are not fixed, they are fluid and can be changed. The challenge for this woman lies in becoming aware of the beliefs she holds about friendships and relationships. Often, these beliefs are unconscious, buried deep within the layers of her emotional and mental patterns. She may not even realize that she's been carrying these beliefs for years, allowing them to dictate her actions and reactions. To break free from the cycle of isolation, she must begin by examining these beliefs and questioning their validity. The process of questioning beliefs requires courage and self-awareness. She must ask herself, do I truly believe that all people are untrustworthy? Or is that just a reflection of past hurt? Am I willing to let go of this belief to create room for new, healthier relationships? By challenging her limiting beliefs, she creates space for new possibilities. She can begin to understand that not all people are the same, and while she may have been hurt in the past, not everyone will hurt her in the same way. There are people out there who are trustworthy, kind, and supportive, but she must first believe that such people exist before she can recognize them. Moreover, beliefs are often self-fulfilling. If she believes she is unworthy of true connection, she may unconsciously push others away, whether by avoiding vulnerability, distancing herself emotionally, or choosing not to reach out. These actions reinforce the belief that she is undeserving of friendships. On the other hand, if she shifts her belief to one of worthiness, believing that she deserves authentic, loving friendships, she will begin to take actions that align with that belief. She may become more open, initiate conversations, and take the first steps toward building trust with others. Ultimately, the power of beliefs lies in their ability to shape not only how we see the world, but also how we experience it. For the woman with no friends, the shift begins when she acknowledges that her beliefs are not fixed truths, but dynamic, changeable aspects of her inner world. When she takes responsibility for her beliefs and consciously chooses new, empowering ones, she opens the door to new relationships, deeper connections, and a life filled with meaningful friendships. In a world that often celebrates independence, the idea of self-sufficiency can seem like an admirable trait. There's a sense of pride in handling everything on your own, not needing anyone else to complete you, or so it may seem. For the woman who has no friends, however, this reliance on self can become a subtle prison, a cycle that isolates her further rather than empowering her. Self-sufficiency, when taken to an extreme, can be a defense mechanism, one that emerges out of a fear of vulnerability, emotional pain, or disappointment. It's a coping strategy formed over time in response to experiences where relying on others didn't bring the expected support or love. If past friendships or relationships have resulted in hurt or betrayal, This woman may have concluded that depending on others only leads to disappointment. The decision to rely solely on herself might have been born out of necessity after all. If she doesn't let anyone in, no one can let her down. Yet, as time passes, the emotional cost of this independence starts to mount. While initially it might feel safe and empowering to be entirely self-reliant, it can lead to loneliness and isolation. True self-sufficiency is not about completely shutting others out, but about finding balance. In the process of becoming entirely self-reliant, she may have neglected the essential human need for connection. Even the most self-sufficient person needs others to share experiences, to provide support, and to give love. Humans are social creatures by nature. The absence of authentic connections can lead to emotional and mental depletion, a feeling of emptiness that can be hard to fill with personal achievements or material success. The woman who isolates herself through self-sufficiency may not realize the cost of her actions. She may convince herself that she's doing just fine on her own, but deep down, there may be an underlying yearning for real connection. It's a quiet longing to share her joys and her sorrows with others, to be seen, heard, and understood. The illusion of independence can blind her to the fact that her emotional needs are not being met, that something essential is missing from her life. Breaking this cycle of self-sufficiency requires a shift in mindset, a realization that needing others is not a weakness but a human need. The woman must first confront the belief that asking for help, showing vulnerability, or reaching out for support makes her lesser or dependent. She must begin to see that true strength lies in connection, in the willingness to be open, to give and receive love. Acknowledging that she is worthy of love and companionship is the first step in dismantling the walls she's built around herself. For many, vulnerability is the hardest part of this process. She may have learned to guard her heart, fearing that opening up will only lead to more disappointment. However, vulnerability is not a sign of weakness, it's a pathway to deeper relationships. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we invite others to connect with us on a more meaningful level. Vulnerability fosters trust, and trust is the foundation upon which real friendships are built. Breaking the cycle also involves learning to ask for help and support. She may need to practice small steps like reaching out to a colleague or a family member, engaging in light conversations, or even asking for advice. These interactions might feel uncomfortable at first, but they are essential in relearning how to rely on others without losing a sense of self. Slowly, she will begin to realize that asking for help doesn't make her less self-sufficient, but rather enriches her life and fosters a sense of community and belonging. Another aspect of breaking this cycle is learning to embrace interdependence rather than independence. Interdependence is about forming relationships where both individuals give and receive, supporting one another in ways that elevate both lives. By shifting her perspective to one that values interdependence, the woman can start to see that true strength comes not from isolating herself, but from forming meaningful, reciprocal relationships with others. The energy we project into the world has an immense impact on the relationships we cultivate and the way we are perceived by others. Energy is not something that can be easily seen, but it is felt by everyone we encounter. It's the emotional atmosphere we create around us, and it directly influences our experiences and interactions. For the woman who feels isolated and has no friends, understanding the concept of energy as a mirror is crucial for transforming her relationships and her life. The idea is simple: the energy you carry within you is reflected back by the world. If you walk into a room with closed off, defensive energy, maybe you're withdrawn, guarded, or unapproachable, those around you will subconsciously mirror that energy. People may sense your resistance, your walls, and respond by keeping their distance. It's as if the energy you put out creates a filter that shapes the type of experiences you attract. If you carry energy that signals distrust or disconnection, the universe will respond by sending back experiences that reinforce this feeling. People may appear distant, or you might find yourself in environments where connection seems impossible. On the other hand, when you choose to shift your energy, when you choose openness, warmth, and kindness, you invite others to mirror that same energy back to you. Our energy is contagious. Smiling, making eye contact, and being present with others create an energetic environment where connection is possible. People are naturally drawn to energy that feels welcoming and positive. They feel safe in the presence of someone who is emotionally open, someone who projects the kind of warmth and understanding they long for in their own lives. Changing this dynamic begins with self-awareness. She must recognize that the energy she emits is a choice. It is not something that just happens to her. It's something she actively creates through her thoughts, emotions, and actions. By becoming aware of the energy she's putting out into the world, she can begin to make intentional changes. The first step is to let go of the defensive, closed-off energy that has been keeping her isolated. Instead, she can focus on cultivating a more open and positive presence. For the woman who has no friends, her subconscious mind may be running programs that push people away or prevent her from forming deep, meaningful connections. For example, if she subconsciously believes that she is unworthy of true friendship, she might inadvertently sabotage opportunities for connection. She could distance herself from potential friends or keep them at arm's length, afraid that they will eventually reject her. Her subconscious mind is reinforcing the idea that she doesn't deserve closeness or love, which becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Reprogramming the subconscious mind begins with awareness. The first step is to identify the limiting beliefs that are holding her back. This may involve reflecting on past experiences and asking, what beliefs have I formed about relationships and myself? It's important to understand that these beliefs are not immutable truths. They are learned patterns that can be unlearned and replaced with healthier, more empowering beliefs. One of the most powerful ways to reprogram the subconscious is through repetition. Just as negative beliefs were formed through repeated experiences or thoughts, positive, empowering beliefs can be formed in the same way. This requires consistent practice and reinforcement. For instance, if the woman has a belief that people can't be trusted, she can begin consciously choosing new thoughts each time this belief surfaces. She might remind herself, there are people who are trustworthy, and I am worthy of having those kinds of relationships. By repeating this affirmation daily, she starts to replace the old belief with a new, more empowering one. Visualization is another effective technique for reprogramming the subconscious mind. By vividly imagining herself in positive social situations, connecting with others, and experiencing the joy of authentic friendships, she can create new neural pathways in the brain. This process tricks the subconscious mind into believing that positive social interactions are not only possible but are already part of her reality. The more she practices visualization, the more natural it becomes to embody the belief that she can have meaningful connections. Meditation can also be a powerful tool in reprogramming the subconscious. By quieting the mind and entering a state of deep relaxation, she can access the subconscious more directly. In this state, she can affirm new beliefs about herself and her relationships, embedding them more deeply in her mind. Meditation allows her to detach from the old, limiting patterns and create space for new, more empowering thoughts to take root. Ultimately, reprogramming the subconscious mind is not a quick fix. It is a gradual process that requires patience, consistency, and self-compassion. The woman who feels isolated may not see immediate results, but with time and dedication, she will begin to notice shifts in her thoughts, behaviors, and interactions. As her subconscious mind begins to accept new, empowering beliefs, her external reality will start to reflect these changes. She will become more open to connecting with others, more confident in her worthiness of love, and more willing to take risks in forming new friendships. In this way, reprogramming the subconscious mind becomes a key step in creating a life full of meaningful relationships. The mind has the power to shape our reality, and by consciously choosing new beliefs, the woman who once felt disconnected can transform her inner world and, in turn, her outer world into one rich with connection, love, and friendship. For the woman who feels isolated and has no friends, one of the most profound obstacles she may face is the weight of her past. The past isn't just a collection of events that happened, it is the emotional and mental imprint those events leave on our psyche. Whether it's past betrayals, disappointments, or wounds from childhood, the emotional scars we carry can shape how we approach relationships in the present. Healing the past is essential for breaking free from the cycle of isolation and opening up to new, meaningful connections. Often, the reason someone avoids relationships or isolates themselves is that they haven't fully healed from previous emotional wounds. If the woman has been hurt in the past, whether by a friend, family member, or romantic partner, there may be an unconscious fear that these painful experiences will repeat themselves. She might believe that trusting others will only lead to more hurt, so she builds walls to protect herself. While these walls may have served as a form of self-protection, they also block out the possibility of deep, fulfilling connections. The first step in healing the past is acknowledging the hurt and allowing oneself to feel it. Many people, especially those who have been conditioned to be strong or self-reliant, avoid feeling pain because it's too overwhelming or because they fear vulnerability. However, suppressing these emotions only prolongs the healing process. It's important to give oneself permission to grieve, to feel anger, sadness, or even confusion over past relationships. Emotions are not something to be feared, they are signals that we need to process and integrate. Healing comes when we honor these emotions instead of ignoring or denying them. For the woman who has no friends, this healing might involve revisiting past friendships or relationships that ended poorly. She may need to ask herself some difficult questions: what went wrong? What part of me was hurt? What do I need to forgive? Understanding the root of her pain is critical. Healing is not just about moving on, but about understanding and making peace with the past. Perhaps there was betrayal, abandonment, or rejection. But even more importantly, what did she learn from those experiences? What beliefs did she form about herself, about others, and about friendship as a result of those experiences? Once these beliefs are identified, they can be challenged and reframed. Forgiveness plays a crucial role in healing. Many people hold on to resentment or anger towards others for things that happened in the past. While it's understandable to feel hurt, holding on to these negative emotions only keeps the pain alive. Forgiveness doesn't mean condoning the actions of others, nor does it mean that the past didn't matter. It simply means releasing the emotional hold that the past has over you. Forgiving others, and more importantly, forgiving yourself for any perceived mistakes or misjudgments in those past relationships, is a powerful step in the healing process. Letting go of resentment frees up emotional space for new relationships to grow. In addition to forgiving others, healing the past also involves forgiving oneself. Many women who struggle with loneliness or feel disconnected from others carry deep feelings of shame or guilt. They might blame themselves for the failure of past friendships, believing they were too needy, too demanding, or too difficult to be around. These self-blaming thoughts reinforce the belief that they are unworthy of love or friendship. Self-forgiveness is about releasing these negative self-judgments and recognizing that everyone makes mistakes in relationships. No one is perfect, and no one is beyond the chance to grow, heal, and try again. Healing also requires letting go of the stories we tell ourselves about the past. These stories can become a barrier to moving forward. For instance, if she believes I always get abandoned or I'm destined to be alone, these stories will continue to limit her ability to create meaningful relationships. Healing involves rewriting those stories. Instead of seeing herself as a victim of her circumstances, she can reframe the past as a series of lessons that have made her stronger, more compassionate, and more self-aware. She can begin to tell herself new stories, ones that reflect her capacity for growth, her worthiness of love, and her ability to form healthy, trusting friendships. Another important part of healing the past is learning to trust again. Trust is the foundation of all relationships, and if it has been broken before, it can be incredibly difficult to rebuild. But trust can be restored over time through consistent, positive experiences with others. The woman may need to start small, opening up to someone she feels safe with, sharing her thoughts, or allowing herself to be vulnerable. As she experiences trust being honored in these small interactions, her capacity to trust others will gradually grow. Ultimately, healing the past is a necessary step in creating space for new, healthy relationships. When the woman lets go of the emotional baggage and pain from the past, she frees herself to step into a new chapter of her life. By releasing old wounds, negative beliefs, and past stories, she opens herself to the possibility of true connection. Healing the past isn't about forgetting, it's about transforming the way we relate to it, allowing us to move forward with a fresh perspective and a heart that is open to the love and companionship we deserve. One of the most foundational elements in building meaningful friendships and relationships is the cultivation of self-love and a sense of worthiness. For the woman who feels disconnected and has no friends, her relationship with herself is the first and most important relationship to heal. Often, the belief that we are unworthy of love or companionship is the silent barrier that prevents us from forming deep connections with others. Until she learns to love herself and recognize her own inherent value, she will continue to struggle with attracting the kinds of friendships that nourish and uplift her. Self-love is not about vanity or narcissism. It is about honoring and respecting oneself as a valuable human being deserving of kindness, care, and compassion. When a woman struggles with loneliness and disconnection, it is often a reflection of how she feels about herself. She may subconsciously believe that she is not worthy of the time, energy, or affection of others. These beliefs manifest in actions such as avoiding vulnerability, resisting connection, or tolerating unhealthy dynamics in relationships. The underlying thought might be, I'm not good enough, or no one would want to be my friend. These negative thoughts prevent her from reaching out to others or allowing them to see her for who she truly is. The first step in cultivating self-love is to confront these negative beliefs about herself. She must begin to acknowledge the inherent worth and value she carries simply by being who she is. Often we compare ourselves to others and believe that we fall short in some way, perhaps in terms of appearance, success, or social skills. However, self-love requires us to stop measuring our worth by external standards or comparisons. It's about embracing who we are in the present moment with all our flaws and imperfections. Understanding that we are not defined by past mistakes, our appearance, or our achievements is crucial. We are worthy of love and connection simply because we are human. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate self-love is through daily affirmations. These affirmations are simple, positive statements that help reinforce the belief that we are worthy, lovable, and deserving of connection. For example, she might repeat, "I am worthy of deep, meaningful friendships," or "I deserve love, kindness, and companionship." When she consistently tells herself these affirmations, they begin to replace the negative self-talk that says, "I'm not good enough," or "No one wants to be my friend." Over time, these affirmations become ingrained in her subconscious mind and start to influence her actions and beliefs. Another important aspect of self-love is practicing self-compassion. This involves treating oneself with the same kindness, understanding, and care that one would offer to a close friend. When she makes a mistake, faces rejection, or feels lonely, she must remind herself that it's okay to be imperfect and to experience difficult emotions. Self-compassion means not beating herself up or falling into self-criticism when things don't go as planned. Instead, she treats herself with patience and grace, allowing herself to be human. This practice helps her let go of feelings of shame or inadequacy that often accompany loneliness, replacing them with a sense of acceptance and peace. Setting healthy boundaries is another key element of cultivating self-love. Often, women who struggle with loneliness have difficulty setting boundaries because they fear rejection or conflict. They may overextend themselves to please others, tolerating toxic behaviors or unhealthy dynamics in the hope of gaining connection. However, true self-love requires us to honor our needs and protect our energy. Setting boundaries means saying no when necessary, prioritizing our own well-being, and surrounding ourselves with people who uplift and support us. It also means letting go of relationships that drain us or bring us down. When she practices setting boundaries, she shows herself the respect she deserves and creates space for healthier, more fulfilling relationships to blossom. Additionally, self-love is about taking care of one's own needs emotionally, mentally, and physically. It means engaging in activities that nurture the soul, whether that's spending time alone to recharge, pursuing hobbies that bring joy, or seeking out positive, uplifting environments. When the woman invests in herself and prioritizes her own well-being, she sends a message to herself and others that she is deserving of care and attention. This self-investment leads to increased confidence and self-esteem, making her more open and attractive to potential friends who align with her values. When a woman practices self-love, she becomes a magnet for healthy, loving relationships. By cultivating a sense of worthiness and treating herself with kindness and respect, she invites others to do the same. Self-love is contagious. It radiates outward and creates an energetic environment where mutual respect, trust, and connection can thrive. As she learns to love herself fully, she will attract relationships that mirror that love, deepening her connections and enriching her life. Ultimately, cultivating self-love and worthiness is not a one-time effort, but a lifelong practice. It requires consistency, patience, and a deep commitment to caring for oneself. When the woman understands her own value, she can then step into relationships from a place of strength and wholeness, knowing that she is deserving of the love and friendship she seeks.